With the absence of Mayor Schoeneman and Deputy Schoeneman, and Deputy Mayor Johnson, it is my privilege to call to order the Aberdeen City Council for our meeting of Monday, May 1, 2023. Roll call, please. Gordon.
Please respond by stating present. Councilmember Faubourg.
Present.
Liebelt.
Present.
Reif.
Present.
Johnson. Reinbold.
Present.
Langer.
Present.
Norvstrup.
Present.
Mayor Schoeneman. Councilmember Ronayne.
Present. Please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. The first item would be approval of the agenda, and we have no changes of which I'm aware. We would entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
Move to approve.
Motion by Reinbold, second by Norvstrup to approve the agenda as provided. All in favor, aye.
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 Opposed, nay. Motion does carry. The next item is approval of the minutes as presented of our meeting of April 24, 2023. Are there any additions or corrections to those minutes? Seeing none, we would entertain a motion to approve the minutes as presented.
So moved. Second.
Motion by Norvstrup, seconded by Reif to approve the minutes as presented. All in favor, aye.
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 Opposed, nay. That motion does carry. As far as I'm aware, nobody has signed up for open forum. Oh, Casey, are you signed up for open forum? I did. Is that okay? Of course it is. Yeah, please, please come join us. I apologize. And make sure your green button is on.
Is your mic on?
All right. Sorry. Ooh, that's loud. I promise I won't take up much of your time. I just wanted to make aware that next week, May 7th through the 13th, is National Travel and Tourism Week. It gives us a chance to promote and enhance the tourism vibe in Aberdeen, and I just wanted to let the City Council be aware of that. We have some celebrations that we're taking part in. National Travel and Tourism Week is promoting their 40th anniversary, along with the movie National Lampoon's Vacation is turning 40 as well. So the Convention and Visitors Bureau is partnering with the Capitol Theater for Friday, May 12th for a free showing of the movie National Lampoon's Vacation. So kind of celebrating that vibe of getting into that family truckster and coming to visit Aberdeen, seeing what Aberdeen has to offer and taking in a free movie. But again, National Travel and Tourism Week is May 7th through the 13th. We have quite a few things planned, from social media promotions to Dempsey's Hot Dogs down at the Malchow Plaza on Friday, handing out Fun Book Friday, free fun books to anybody who wants to stop down. So again, just wanted to thank the council, let you guys be aware of National Travel and Tourism Week.
Great. Thank you, Casey. The next item would be our consent calendar, routine city business, items A through G. We would entertain a motion to approve the consent calendar.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Liebelt, seconded by Norvstrup to approve the consent calendar. But I think before we actually vote on that, I believe Councilman Norvstrup wanted to have a few words as to the unaudited financial report, which is found within the consent calendar. And Jordan, would you be able to address that for us, please?
Absolutely. So within the unaudited financial statements, you'll find a variety of financial reports. There's four main types, the first of which is fund financial statements for governmental funds. These are exhibits 3 and 4, and each major fund is presented in a separate column. Non-major funds, if any, will be combined into a separate column, which is reported in a separate document. It's combining financial statement. The amounts for the, fund financial statements for proprietary funds are exhibits 5, 6, and 7 within the attached report. Those are more of the business type activities, our water, sewer, campground, and golf funds. Those have combining statements as well, and those are presented on a major fund basis. The next type that you'll find within this report is Exhibits 8 and 9, which are private purpose trust funds and custodial funds. Those would be things like our self-insurance and other funds that we are holding on behalf of entities that we are engaged with. The last report that you'll see is a schedule of changes in long-term debt, which summarizes the debt service that we have, not only for city debt, but for things like TIFs and water and sewer bonds that we have obligations for. So that summarizes the types of reports. We're required to submit this report to the council no later than the first meeting in May. It is the first meeting in May, so we are attempting to satisfy that requirement. As far as we typically compile this report sometime between March and May. In this year and last year, it's later. Due to staffing changes, it's just been a little more difficult to get the data compiled in a timely manner, but in the future, we'll get it in a more timely manner. So that is a summary of what you're looking at. If you have any more specific questions, don't be afraid to reach out to me and I can help you understand what it is exactly that we're trying to communicate.
Councilman Nostrip, did you have any specific questions?
No.
Any other questions from the council? Yes, ma'am.
I was just curious, is this the statement that, are these like financials that we give to Eide Bailey then to do the actual audit? Is that what this is?
Yes, so this is data that we submitted to Eide Bailey back in March. They're reviewing, we're working through the audit. It's ongoing. We'll come back with an audited financial statement for your review and acceptance. And at that point, I intend to communicate more and potentially do a report to share more information at that time. But yes, this is working data right now, and it's currently under audit by Eide Bailey.
Thank you.
Anything else, anyone? If not, we have a motion on the floor to approve the consent calendar. All in favor signify by aye.
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 Opposed, nay. Motion does carry. The first item under old business is the possible second reading and final adoption of ordinance number 230401 to rezone property described as lots 1 and 2, Steeles Quarter, First Edition, 115 Brown County, 19 South, from an I-2 district to a C2 district. Brett, any changes on that?
No changes from last week.
That we would entertain a motion to approve the rezoning.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Councilwoman Liebelt, seconded by Councilman Reif. Is there any further discussion from the council? If not, roll call, please, Jordan.
Councilmember Foberg,
Aye.
Liebelt,
Aye.
Reif,
Aye.
Reinbold,
Aye.
Langer,
Aye.
Norvstrup.
Aye.
Councilmember Ronayne.
Aye. Motion does carry. Next item is a possible second reading and final adoption of ordinance 230403, amending the Aberdeen City Code to declare nuisance vacant buildings as public nuisances. And I think that was originally the water was being carried on that by the city attorney, who is not here today. Brett, you look like you want to talk
I've got
about
broad shoulders, I can carry it.
Pardon me?
I've got broad shoulders, I can carry it.
I know you
today.
can. Yeah.
Actually, there aren't any changes to this other than the city attorney adding the word nuisance prior to vacant buildings within the entire ordinance amendment.
Yeah. And that was the amendment we made last meeting.
That's correct.
We would entertain a motion to approve the second reading and final adoption.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion by Councilman Reinbold, seconded by Councilwoman Liebelt. Is there any discussion from the council?
Mr. Deputy Mayor?
Reinbold said you can call me former deputy mayor.
My question is about the fines. It just seems like they could be a lot more hefty to actually have some impact. So is there a reason that we pick the fine amounts that we have here, or might they escalate in 3 years if this ordinance isn't having the intended impact?
Actually, that's going to be part of another item on a later agenda dealing
Okay.
with the fines, because we're going to be dealing with the new fee structure for this and other things. But I'll still answer your question.
Okay.
The fines are fines that we, in essence, copied from Sioux Falls because that's what worked for them. It got people's attention and got things taken care of. So that's why we include it. Yes, they are hefty, but it is, again, to get people's attention.
I want them to be heftier.
That's an amendment you can make when this comes up again, and I won't fight you on it.
Be sure you give me your phone number.
Any other discussion from the council? Roll call, please.
Councilmember Norvstrup,
Aye.
Langer,
Aye.
Reinbold,
Aye.
Reif,
Aye.
Liebelt,
Aye.
Foberg,
Aye.
Councilmember Ronayne.
Aye. Motion carries. This is the time and place set for a public hearing and possible approval of the transfer of a retail on-sale liquor license from John Doe Inc., doing business as Silver Dollar Bar, to Five Star Management LLC, doing business as Silver Dollar Bar. Are there any members of the public who are here who wish to be heard at this public hearing? Seeing none, we would entertain a motion from the council to approve that transfer.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion by Reif, second by Reinbold to approve the transfer. Is there any discussion from the council? If not, all in favor signify by aye.
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 Opposed, nay. That motion does carry. This is the time and place set for a public hearing and possible approval of the transfer of a package off-sale liquor license from John Doe Inc., doing business as Silver Dollar Bar, to Eagle River LLC, doing business as Street Corner Urban Market and Mulligan's. Are there any members of the public who are here that wish to be heard at this public hearing? Seeing none, we would entertain a motion from the council to approve that transfer.
Move to approve. Second.
Motion by Councilman Reif, seconded by Councilman Novstrup to approve the transfer. Is there any discussion from the council? Seeing none, all in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. That motion carries. This is the time and place set for a public hearing and possible approval of a special one-day retail on-sale liquor licenses for the Aberdeen Area Chamber of Commerce's business after-hour events. And there are 3 events before consideration for us today. One on May 11th at Farm Credit Services, one on August 10th at Pearson Ford, and one on September 7th at Schwann Financial. Are there any members of the public who would wish to be heard at this public hearing? Gail, do you wish to be heard? Okay. We would entertain a motion then to approve those special one-day licenses.
Move to approve.
Motion by Councilman Reinbold, seconded by Councilwoman Langer to approve the one-day licenses. Is there any discussion from the council? If not, all in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion does carry. We have before us a recommendation to tentatively award bids for the Aberdeen Regional Airport runway 1331 rehabilitation and lighting improvements, and authorize the city manager to sign all necessary documents. Rich, oh, there you are, Rich. Would you please address that for us?
We're asking for city manager to be able to sign any and all documents related to this project. We opened bids last Tuesday. Reedy Construction won the bids for bid schedule A, A1, A2, and Ephraimson Electric won the bid for bid schedule B. This will be tentative on approval of the grant application,
Okay.
which will be forthcoming.
Okay. You see any problems with the grant application?
No.
I don't ever remember approving anything like this tentatively. Haven't we always just approved these?
No, we've always done this.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, I just don't remember.
The FAA likes to have our projects shovel ready, shelf ready, whatever you. this thing's
Very good.
moving.
Any discussion from the council? If not, all in favor of approving, do we have a motion? No, we haven't had a motion. We'd entertain a motion to approve the tentative award of bids.
Second.
Motion by Councilman Novstrup, second by Councilman Reinbold. Any discussion at this time? If not, all in favor of adopting the recommendation signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion does carry.
Thank you.
Thank you. We have before us a possible approval for payment request for South Dakota Street reconstruction to Reedy Construction in the amount of $283,500. And addressing that, I presume, is our city engineer, Robin Bobzien.
This is the first pay request for this project. They have not started work on it yet. However, this is the startup money, pays for bonds, some of their startup costs prior to actually doing the work. So we recommend approval of payment number one in the amount of $283,500 for Reedy Construction.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion by Councilman Reinbold, seconded by Councilwoman Folberg, I think. Liebelt. Sorry, you're throwing your voice. Any discussion from the council? Not, roll call, please, Jordan.
Councilmember Foberg,
Aye.
Liebelt,
Aye.
Reif,
Aye.
Reinbold,
Aye.
Langer, Norvstrup,
Aye.
Councilmember Ronayne.
Aye, motion does carry. We have before us possible approval for payment request for 8th Avenue Northeast pavement rehabilitation to Reedy Construction in the amount of $108,000. Robin.
Okay, this covers mobilization similar to the last explanation for South Dakota. This project actually is underway right now, and they actually started doing some concrete replacement today. So they have removed most of the bad slabs. They are starting to refill them right now, and they actually have done some of the dowel bar retrofit at this point too. So we are recommending approval of the mobilization payment to Reedy in the amount of $108,000.
We would entertain a motion to do just that.
Second.
Motion by Councilman Nostrup, with a second from Councilman Reinbold to approve the payment request. Is there any discussion from the council? If not, roll call on that vote, please, Jordan.
Councilmember Norvstrup,
Aye.
Langer, Reinbold,
Aye.
Reif,
Aye.
Liebelt,
Aye.
Foberg,
Aye.
Councilmember Ronayne.
Aye. Motion carries. Next item is possible approval of a quote from Trident Process, Inc. for a replacement reducer gearbox at the water treatment plant. And Joe is going to tell us what a replacement reducer gearbox is.
And not in great detail either. So this is part of our really major operations when it comes to removing taste and odor from the river water. We call it our carbon operation, and there's a carbon silo, and this is a gearbox that helps mix that and transitions in with the water as it's produced. It's a repair item, but due to the dollar amount, we need council approval, and staff recommends that.
Move to approve.
Motion from Councilman Reif, second from Councilman Nostrup to approve the quote from Trident Process for replacement of the reducer gearbox. Is there any discussion from the council? Yes, sir.
Joe, do you happen to know, is this one of those items that Bob was talking about before?
No, it's not a capital item. It wasn't a project. It's just something that's come
Okay.
up.
Sounds
repaired.
good. Thank you.
Anything else, anyone? If not, all in favor of approving the quote signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion does carry. Finally, we have possible authorization to allocate up to $140,000 as funds for marketing and resident recruitment efforts. And Megan, is that you or
I'm
Joe?
gonna start.
Joe is going to start.
I'm going to start, and I can talk for a little longer than I can about gearboxes, but not much longer. But just kind of for some history to bring it back a little bit. Way back in 2020, we had some extra funds that came from COVID, and we used those for some special reasons. And some of that was set aside for special projects, mostly related to economic development. And so far, only a little bit of that's been allocated, really $150,000, and we only used about 30 of that. But for resident recruitment, and workforce recruitment, which, just as a reminder, was a goal in the 23 council goals as well as the 21 council goals. So that's where the money will come from and kind of how it got there. But then let's jump up to the new economic development manager position that we started this year. And one of the things to look at, and has taken maybe a little front stage earlier than I thought, was marketing, and specifically marketing to economic development. So when we talk about this tonight, I want you to kind of limit your thoughts to that, as this is marketing for economic development by the city. It's not community marketing. We have some really good community partners who market to folks that shop here, folks that visit here. This is specifically to businesses and folks that we want to locate and move here. That's kind of the focus audience to kind of set that up a little bit. And there's a couple of requests here, $20,000 for marketing materials and $120,000 for resident recruitment efforts. And we've kind of summarized that a little bit. But that's the extent of my marketing expertise. I am not a marketer. It's not really something I enjoy talking about very much, nor am I good at it. But Megan is, and she will take over from here.
So Megan, why don't you go ahead?
The button that says push. Okay, got it. So I'm Megan Kukowski, for those of you who aren't familiar with me. As I stated in my report, this is a multifaceted marketing campaign that's main goal is to attract small businesses and residents to Aberdeen by showcasing why Aberdeen is not only a great place to do business, but also to live. So the materials that you'll see in front of you kind of feature that Thrive in Aberdeen, South Dakota logo. And another kind of clarifying point that I wanted to make, building off of what Joe said, is clarifying kind of the difference between brand and a campaign as well. So the Aberdeen City brand, as you'll see, is that seal that's on the back of all of your chairs. And so that's not changing. The brand itself is not changing. What we are proposing is a campaign. So Thrive in Aberdeen is a campaign. Brands are things that for the most part shouldn't change. Not significantly anyway, whereas a campaign is something that does and can change over time. And so, like I said, it's multifaceted. There's going to be lots of pieces to it. There's going to be videos, which I'll show you here in just a second, an example of one that we've worked on, showcasing real business success from a variety of business owners. There's going to be a landing page that's going to feature a lot of information, content, and resources for those who are looking to start a business or expand their business here. There's going to be paid social media pushes. That's what a lot of the budget is going to be utilized for. There's going to be some guerrilla marketing tactics to kind of give the campaign a little bit of steam. And really, it's, you know, when I'm calling business owners and I'm asking them if they've ever considered expanding their business to Aberdeen, it's really not a hard sell. Aberdeen is not a hard sell, and most of the people that I talk to are really excited about the potential to move to Aberdeen. They've really just never been asked before. So how do we put Aberdeen further out there and continue to bring awareness to why doing business and living in Aberdeen is so great? And really kind of a secondary goal is to also just champion our small business community that already exists here. They're really the MVPs of this community. And so if we can help lift them up even further, you know, and we've got other entities in the community that do a great job of that, the Chamber, the ADA, Aberdeen Insider, Aberdeen Magazine. So we're not trying to step on anything that they're doing, but in my opinion, the more people talking about business success in Aberdeen, the better. So the pieces that are in front of you, like I said, we'll showcase, and we can, if you have any questions about any of those specifically, we can talk through those, but I'll also show you a video that we worked on to give you an example. There's going to be 3 video pieces that we'll start with in this campaign that are interview style to hopefully give a good cross-section of our small business community, and hopefully the people that we're targeting, small businesses and their families, can kind of, hopefully they can see themselves in one of these people, and as we continue to build content, we'll continue to build on that and hopefully tell even more stories.
My name is Mike Ray. I'm originally from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and my wife is from South Dakota. And it started out where we were just, as a married couple, you know, visiting the state. And I started to realize that, you know, this is the place that I wanted to be. This is the place I wanted to raise my family. My business is called Building Bros, and I am a licensed general contractor in the city of Aberdeen. I'm trying to do the smaller jobs that would be considered handyman work. So any job that is really too small for other general contractors is the work that I'm trying to do. This is a second career for me. So I was in the computer software industry before this and decided to pursue my dream and just work with my hands every day. So it was really simple to start a business here in Aberdeen. I was able just to drive downtown, walk into the municipal building, speak to someone face to face, asking them about questions about, hey, what does it take to become a general contractor? Just being able to talk to someone face to face in a municipal building was a big deal for me, how easy that was. I enjoy doing business in Aberdeen because I find that there is a camaraderie among the industry. Instead of having that sense of competition, there seems to be a sense of trying to help each other to be successful. If someone would like me to fix something at their house, they'll say, hey, the house is open, or here's the code to my home, come on in, you know, kick my shoes off, and then I'm helping them fix something. So I would say there's a general trust in the community that I enjoy. We have 5 boys, so our oldest is 10 years old and our youngest is 10 months old. They're completely busy, but really good boys, and we love being here. One thing that surprised me about the city of Aberdeen was how large it felt for being a small town. That kind of sounds conflicting, but what I mean is there's plenty of stores here, there's plenty of restaurants, there's a lot of things to do, but at the same time, when you need a sense of community, if you need a faith community, you know, it's easy to have that, to tap into what's established here already. I would tell someone who's considering to move to Aberdeen to come and visit and see what it's all about. There seems to be a focus on faith and God and love of country. So it feels like America here. And I would bet that anyone that came to visit and who's thinking about moving here, it wouldn't take them long to just find that, and you know, once they visit. Building Bros thrives in Aberdeen.
And to kind of explain a little bit about why we chose Thrive before we can open it up for questions too, is we wanted something that was really universal and something that had both a business application as well as a personal application, because we know that a lot of the businesses that will potentially be started here and expanding here, they're not just bringing their businesses, they're bringing their families, they're bringing their employees, they're bringing their employees' families. And so we want to make sure that we're not only letting them know that doing business is great in Aberdeen, and not only can their business thrive in Aberdeen, but their families can thrive, they can thrive. And so we wanted to make sure that it was as applicable as possible across all platforms. Am I missing anything, Joe?
No, that's good. All right. Let's first entertain a motion to approve the requested authorization, and then we will open up for comments from the council.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion by Reif, second by Reinbold. At this time, what question does the council have? Yes, sir. Councilman Nostro.
So I know the CVB does marketing, but they're more focused on the visitors 100 miles out. So they're kind of over here. It doesn't necessarily fit into this discussion, but the chamber does city marketing, and I know they do some workforce recruitment. The Development Corp also does some workforce recruitment. So have we had any conversations with those other groups? Because we should definitely make sure we're all on the same page, because we don't want one ad from the city of Aberdeen and the chamber right next to each other, or even a few pages apart. That would look really silly, because we have Changing the Game and then Thrive and Aberdeen and it'd be really confusing for people to see that. So have we had those conversations with those other groups so they kind of know what's going on?
I guess I don't know if I would say that they do this, if they're side by side going after the same target audience. Because when we kind of started this discussion, we absolutely looked into potentially jumping on board with changing the game. We're realizing that city branding can sometimes go after different target audiences. And sometimes when you ask one brand, or in this case, campaign, which I would consider both of those campaigns, not necessarily brands. There's branding, but changing the game is a campaign, I would say, as well as Thrive in Aberdeen. If you're asking one campaign to do too much, then I think that's where you're going to run into trouble. The ADC as well as the chamber, they do use changing the game, but I do think that there's a little bit of a distinction between what we're doing and what they're doing. Joe, I don't know if you want to speak to that at all as far as the changing the game, but I wasn't around, I guess, specifically in this position. I don't think Joe was either when changing the game came about, but I do think that this is slightly different target audiences. A lot of the city branding, and Joe mentioned it as community branding, going after people who currently live here, as well as tourists. And like you said, how the CVB utilizes it, this is going to be going after small businesses or businesses in general, as well as residents potentially moving here. So I do think that there's a difference. And as far as what the ADC is doing, I haven't seen tons of active advertising or marketing going out on specific to changing the game. So,
but I do think, kind of to tone into to Councilman Nostrup's question, I think as we start looking at, there've been some pretty small conversations, but when we start looking at how to spread this out, I think you're right. We want to make sure that we're not, duplicating right on top of one. We're not looking at this being a major TV campaign, at least not right now. But I do think that's important that we make sure that if we are going to put it out there, we're not, just piling it on.
I think the chamber just heard about this earlier today, or recently, but it'd be interesting if they can, I guess, give their perspective if this complements or competes with their marketing, if people are open to it, because I think that's important.
Sure.
To know that answer since Gail's here.
Councilwoman Foberg.
My question is along the same lines. So let's imagine there's 3 entities, CVB, we'll say 4, CVB, Chamber, City of Aberdeen, Aberdeen Development Corporation. Let's imagine they each have $200,000 to spend this year on advertising. Wouldn't it make more sense, and I'm not a marketing person, but I'm thinking it from my own lived experience, that we're all speaking the same language, using the same brand guide, having the same theme or message, but potentially focusing on different things. Like one focuses on visitors, another focuses on supporting local businesses and shopping local, another focuses on moving. But every time you see a color palette or a logo or a theme, it's Aberdeen, so that you're getting the message more than once. So you get $800,000 of a message instead of $200,000 of 4 different messages.
I think that's definitely a discussion that we could have. Again, I would come back to, I'm curious what people, as far as like branding, because again, there's a difference between branding and a campaign. Changing the game is a campaign, Thrive in Aberdeen is a campaign. So if we're looking at, should we all come together on a campaign? I definitely think that that's a discussion we could have. And like Joe said, we certainly are not trying to step on anyone's toes, not trying to go, behind anyone's back in doing so. As far as changing the game being brought about 3-ish years ago, we did worry about jumping on board now, and would that be confusing from our perspective? But, as far as a brand, like I said, our brand is the city seal. So that's as far as from the city of Aberdeen. So I don't know. But I'd definitely be open to it, absolutely. And if people wanted to jump on board with Thrive in Aberdeen, I'm not sure what, the chamber and the other 4 entities that are a part of the Changing the Game, what their plan was for when they want to reevaluate the next campaign. Does anyone have info on that?
Josh has a question.
Yep, Councilman Reif.
No, I'm sorry, I don't have info on that. But I was going to say something else. This is poor timing, I guess. I really like this Thrive. I think it's succinct and it tells kind of what you're striving to do by attracting business. I think your video is really good as well.
Thank you.
So, I mean, from what I've seen so far, I think it's really professionally done and it looks really well. I mean, I think it works. I think it makes sense for who your target audience is. So, good job.
So Joe was saying that the idea isn't to have a television campaign. Is the plan mostly to just have this available online, folks who?
Yeah, so there will definitely be, these videos will go out on all social media platforms in a paid perspective, because obviously if it's just organic, it will only reach those that, that like our page, but there'll be paid advertisements online across the board. Yep.
Other questions, comments from the council? Yes, sir, Councilman Nostrip.
Can we get the chamber's perspective?
Are you asking Gail if you come up and address
because
it?
I asked that question and then everybody kind of moved on.
I thought it was rhetorical. Gail, do you have some insight for us?
I'll invite up Lisa Anderson too. Is this on? Since Lisa does handle the city marketing for the chamber. I guess first I'd like to say we are interested in collaborating with the city. Obviously, we're all working together for the same reason, right? We know we need to recruit more people to work here in Aberdeen at our existing businesses and future businesses that we recruit. So we weren't aware of these efforts. And with Megan's hiring, trying to understand what her role is and how we can be part of that, part of her success in doing her job as well. But through the city marketing dollars, we do workforce recruitment advertising. So I think we'd be better served, and taxpayers would be better served to look at what we're doing and collaborate. Lisa can maybe talk specifically about some of those efforts, but I'll just address too, in 2020 we did the community branding, and that was a community branding effort, not just a campaign. Life is Good, which everyone loved, that was a community campaign about learning to love what's here in Aberdeen. So we do consider it a community brand. We do understand that the city seal is important to you, and it's important to other people in the community. So we understood why you'd want to continue using the seal. But we do see the brand as, I'm sure we don't have a slide, but the Aberdeen image with Changing the Game, and all of the organizations use that. And I do think it could be used successfully here too, with maybe a little bit of a refresh or a twist of language, because that would then match maybe what we're doing. I'll let Lisa talk a little bit.
So for the last couple of years, we've been working with CF Digital Group, and we've been working on trying to get some workforce recruitment to Aberdeen. And even just recently, we've had a conversation with Demcoda, because they're working really hard to bring in employees from all over the country. So instead of trying to go blindly into where we think we should be doing these things, I've actually talked to GOED and also State Tourism to find out where people are coming from and kind of capitalize on both where we're seeing people come in, both to South Dakota and Aberdeen, as well as where the state is spending their money, so we can kind of piggyback off of what they're doing. So South Dakota's not, we're kind of capitalizing or making what they're doing a little bit stronger for Aberdeen. But we are right now doing some both online banner ads and some things like that, and also social media in Twin Cities, Quad Cities, Omaha, Eureka, Sacramento, California area, Laredo, McAllen, Texas area, Oregon, and Portland area. So that all came from what the GOED is doing and also what state tourism is doing, as well as, just where those people are coming from. And also kind of helping with that one location in Texas is Demcode is working pretty hard there to bring people up. So we might start looking at a few more places just to kind of knowing that they're working hard to kind of help them as well. And then also we did hire the relocation companion from Sioux Falls, and her whole thing is bringing people here and making them feel welcome and integrated into the community once they get here, so they'll stay. So, that's the second part, is not only getting them here, but also making sure they stay. So those are a couple of big things we've been already spending money on for those purposes.
Great.
I'll let that slide.
Thank you, Lisa.
Yeah.
I have one other question.
Councilwoman Fobert.
Do we know what factors go into somebody's decision to move? Either Lisa or Megan, like from workforce recruitment, how does a person make a decision to move? Like, what does our research tell us? I would assume like family is a big factor, but if you're gonna move from Laredo, Texas to work at Demcode in Aberdeen, is it just financial, or like what? How does that decision get made?
I think there's lots of factors, and it probably depends on the people. But some of the things we've been seeing are exactly what the video is saying. It feels like America. It's people love the freedom here. They love, and it might be just because they're super outdoorsy, and it's a great place to live and do everything you want to outdoors. It could be just the fact that it's such a clean and safe city, and it's a great place to raise a family, good schools, all these fairly new buildings in town with, the library, the Boys and Girls Club, all those things, the high school. There's different factors for different people, but, I do think the pandemic and the fact that the states, basically stayed open and people felt like it was freedom here, I do think that has a lot to do with that, because these areas that the state is focusing on, that we're doing too. Those are those areas.
Thank you.
Also, the company that we're looking to work with, the Make My Move, which is where some of those dollars would be going for recruitment, focuses on remote workers. And so since the pandemic, obviously that number has skyrocketed. And so these people can work from wherever. And so this platform was designed to target those people who work remotely, and then using incentives, or both monetary and soft incentives, as well as everything that she just mentioned as far as selling their communities, marketing their communities. They will move really anywhere in America because they can work from anywhere. And then we get the residual benefits of that by them bringing their trailing spouse, their children as well, who the spouse may go into the workforce, kids eventually might go into the workforce. So even though the people directly coming from this platform, for example, wouldn't necessarily go into the workforce, they'd be bringing their salary as well as the trailing family members as well. So everything she mentioned, but also I think the pandemic really pumped the remote workers into gear, which we all know.
Yes.
Megan, maybe you just answered this question, but are you going to be placing these ads, or is Make My Move, or who's going to be actually placing these ads and designing them?
Yeah, so there's the business recruitment, and then there's the workforce recruitment or the resident recruitment. What you just saw, the videos here, will be utilized both. There's going to be some overlap in that on the Make My Move platform, essentially you have a profile and you pay to be on their site. And then from there, they provide the applications, and then we're able to take those applications and run with it from there. As far as the business recruitment, I will be handling all of that in-house through the social media marketing, the guerrilla marketing, all of that. The Make My Move is strictly for those who are looking to, again, work remotely and potentially move to Aberdeen.
So you'll also be designing the ads and placing them?
For which part? Or just the Thrive in Aberdeen in general?
Well, somebody has to design the ad, because these don't necessarily just fit by themselves onto social media. So somebody's got to make that work. And I guess why I'm asking the question is that can take a lot of time, and I'm concerned that it might not distract is the best word that popped in my head, but that's not really the word I want to use. But like, because if you're designing ads, placing ads, then you're not necessarily out there talking to businesses.
Sure.
And we need both.
Sure.
Somebody's got to place ads. So I don't know if you're thinking of working with a local company or somebody else, because those ads don't just appear.
Yeah.
So.
The design work that has been done and that will continue to be done was not done by me. The execution of the campaign, I would say, will be done by me. Like the editing of the video, for example, and placing the ads and things like that. Yes, that will be done by me.
Yes, Councilman Wright.
Yeah, I think it's important for us to realize that when we hired Megan to do a certain job, and I think we need to give her some leeway in order to do that. I'm impressed with what she's come up with so far. And I think it makes sense to play this out and see how this goes. I also agree that working with the Chamber of Commerce makes a ton of sense. And I'm guessing you're going to do that going forward, but that's it.
I have a question, if I could, for the city manager. I understand that what we're being asked to do is authorize an allocation of funds, and I get where the $120,000 came from. Mm-hmm. But where is the balance of that coming from? Is that just general fund money?
It will all come from the set-aside funds, as I like to call it. It is general funds, but set-aside, specified for economic development projects. That's where all of it will come from.
Is anyone else? Councilwoman Langer.
Thank you. Deputy, double deputy, former deputy.
I prefer former.
Okay, got it. Sorry. Former. Are we able to approve the moving incentive and then make my move profile and discuss marketing materials and the entire campaign concept in a different, I just feel like this was kind of spring, and I've had several phone calls today on it, and I don't really have a lot of answers. Until the meeting today, which I thought the video was great. I thought your thought process as you explained it was much better than what I read. So it's nice to hear that. But I do think that our community partners deserve a voice more than the 2 seconds that Gail got. Casey, we didn't get to hear from you. And I think you make valid points as well. I mean, everybody did the $80,000 or $800,000. All of it makes sense. So I would like to spend more time than a 2-second to giving the $20,000 in this campaign. I'd like to spend more time. We spent months on a community branding. I was a part of that, obviously. So I would like to give something like this that we care about pretty deeply, I would think, a little bit more time than this corral and the 3 phone calls I had today.
Sure. And of course, the only thing before us today is the authorization of allocation of money. And so you're right.
So I would need to move.
You could move to table this.
To table this number letter number 1. Sorry.
I don't
or do we table it or?
So yes, I think if you want staff to keep working on marketing, but you're not ready to make that decision today, which is kind of what I'm hearing.
Yes.
We can do that. If you're comfortable with the resident recruitment efforts, those are separate items. So I would just ask that there is an amendment, but you could back it up and change it from 140 to 120, and we'll know for resident recruitment efforts, and then we'll.
That is the effort, or that is the way I'd like to go. So whatever we need to write down that I said is what I said.
So your motion, I think, is to postpone consideration of the smaller item?
Yes, number 1.
To postpone consideration of $20,000 for Make My Move profile.
No, marketing materials, number 1. Marketing materials, $20,000 for promotional. I would like to move forward with number 2, the $120,000. Sorry.
So we have before us a motion to postpone consideration of marketing materials, $20,000 for promotional materials for Thrive in Aberdeen. Is there a second to that motion? It appears that motion has died for lack of a second. Is there anything? Oh, I'm sorry, Councilwoman Hoberg.
Mr. Roney, thank you. I actually have questions about the moving incentive, and I don't want to sound like a Debbie Downer. I think you're doing great work too, Megan. I just think my $800,000 is where my brain is stuck, and collaboration is always going to get us farther, even if they still look different. The collaboration is a healthy thing to do. And what if it's as simple as we change it to one of the blues in the brand instead of red? You know what I mean? Like there's things that should be talked about that I have no expertise on, but marketing, but sometimes little things make a big difference in terms of people seeing it as Aberdeen. But my question's about, since we're talking about the remote workers, is how does this work? Like, A, how do we know it's a good company? B, are they going to put captions on the videos to make sure that we're in compliance with ADA? C, are we going to have IRS documents that go to these folks when they get their $25,000? And is that going to be on our HR back, or is that going to be on Make My Move company to do the distribution of payments and the IRS documents? Because that's a gift, right? When you get $2,500. See, how do you know a remote worker actually lives somewhere? You know, how do you know a remote worker actually lives somewhere? So, I mean, I just have, you know, I'm sorry, at least you know how I'm wired. So you knew ahead of time that I'm just wired to ask a lot of questions, but there's a lot of questions that I have about that company too, and whether they're legit.
Yeah, and they, in your materials, you will see some case studies that do show a little bit of what they've done as far as some similar communities. They don't have any that are right around our size, but very similar. And as far as if we were to pay a bigger chunk of change, and Joe can continue to correct me on any of this if I'm wrong, but if we were to pay a higher price point, they would handle everything nuts to bolts for us. Background checks, doing all of the back end work, all of that. Whereas what we are looking to do, but then they would also handle all of the marketing as well. And we knew that that wasn't going to be a great fit for us. And so we decided to go with simply being put on their platform and intaking the applications ourselves. And so we would be doing those things internally, as far as all of what needs to be done, crossing our T's, dotting our I's once the applications do come in, and we get to pick and choose who gets the incentives and who doesn't, and as well as anything else we deem necessary. Right, Joe?
That's correct.
As far as legitimacy, I can get more information for you on that. I do know that they're definitely innovators in that they're up front as far as doing this. They're one of the few, but there are other companies out there that do this as well. Not many, but there are. And back to your further comment, even if we do move forward with this today, I absolutely don't want to go into this campaign with a negative connotation. And so I absolutely welcome, and I'm sure Joe does as well, a conversation with the other entities. So even if it's not a formal thing that gets decided by tabling it, I absolutely am open and eager to have those conversations, because the last thing, this should be a positive thing, and I want everyone to kind of understand the heart of what this is. It's not, I think everything the chamber is doing and everything they just mentioned is wonderful. And again, I think the more people recruiting workers, the more people talking about business success, the more people talking about economic development, the better. So I would just remind everyone the heart of the campaign is to bring businesses and attract businesses and residents and the best possible people to Aberdeen. But I absolutely open and willing to have those conversations to make sure everybody's on board.
Anybody else? Are we ready? No comment. Yes, sir.
I just want to make a few comments. My comments and questions weren't based on you not doing your job. We had a great conversation last week. I think you're doing a good job. I think, and maybe I should have seconded Councilwoman Langer's motion, but I would like to pump the brakes on this, because I would like that conversation to happen with the other entities, and we are missing a couple council members. So I think having more of us, or all of us, as part of this discussion and giving you a chance to talk to the other groups, I think would make it a better decision, and we would have more of that positivity that you just talked about. But I'm just one voice, but I would like to, maybe delay it for, I think we're off next week, so maybe 2 weeks.
Is that a motion?
Sure, why not? See if I can get a second.
Second.
it would appear we have a motion to postpone further consideration of this item for 2 weeks. Is that the motion?
Yep.
Is that the second?
Can I add a friendly amendment to that?
I beg your pardon?
Can I add a friendly amendment to that? And that during that time, some collaboration and meetings take place?
Yeah, that would be the reason that the delay would happen. Like I would want some type of meeting to happen in between the city, yourself, and the chamber.
Okay, so we have a motion on the floor. We have a motion to amend the motion to postpone.
Can
Councilman?
you clarify the motion, please? Is it to just to postpone the 20,000? Is that the motion?
I believe the motion was to postpone consideration of the entire item for 2 weeks. We now have a motion to add to it, and in the meantime, there will be conversations with the other marketing groups.
Yeah, the 5, did you say 5 entities?
I think it's 5, including us.
So is there a second on the proposed amendment?
Second.
The amendment now, we now have a motion to amend the motion. If there's no further discussion, all in favor of approving the amendment to Councilman Nostrup's motion signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay.
Nay.
That motion does carry. Now we are looking at the primary motion to postpone for 2 weeks with the understanding that there will be consultation with the 5 entities in the meantime. All in favor of the motion to postpone signify by aye.
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 Opposed, nay. Nay. Motion does carry. We would now turn to review and approval of claims and payroll. We have the bill list that has been provided to us dated May 1, 2023, as well as payroll approval of the pay period from April 23, 2023 through May 6, 2023, and the city's share of Social Security, old age and survivors insurance, retirement, health, and life insurance. Do we have a motion to approve payment?
Move to pay the bills.
Second.
Motion by Councilman Rife, second by Councilwoman Liebelt to approve the bills and claims. Roll call, please. Jordan?
Councilmember Foberg.
Aye.
Liebelt.
Aye.
Rife.
Aye.
Reinbold.
Aye.
Langer.
Aye.
Norvstrup.
Aye.
Councilmember Ronin.
Aye. Motion does carry. City manager's report. City manager, God.
Well, a couple of things. One, I need to share with the council that some people in the community are very excited about your recent approval of a golf cart ordinance that will allow permitting. They're so excited that folks have come into City Hall trying to get a permit already. They said they heard it on the radio, so I don't know if it was Scott's good coverage of this this ordinance or if it was a commercial or even what network they heard it on, but they said they heard it on the radio and come in and get a permit. So just to kind of update you on that, permits will be issued starting May 22nd. We have to wait for the ordinance to go in effect after the published date, and we're working on getting that set up, the forms and everything set up. That will happen at the police department during normal business hours, so they'll be able to set you up. And already lots of questions coming in, so they'll be able to help you out with that as well. So just be patient for a couple more weeks, and then we'll get those golf cart permits ready. And then also we're already May 1st. The first 4 months of the year have just flown by, and the month of April flew by, especially when it came to employee milestones, because the first one wasn't until the middle of the month. So we've had 5, and 2 of them were over the weekend. So we haven't even gotten them all done yet. But I'm going to go ahead and do them anyway and try something a little bit different here. But we had a couple of, one 5-year, Darlene Dutenhofer here in finance, just yesterday. So we gave her her certificate earlier today. We had a couple of 10 years. One of them was Dustin Campus in Public Works, and we'll hold on a second on the other one. And then Barry Dunlevy had 15 years, and Kara Perrion had 25 years. Barry's in Planning and Zoning, and Kara's in Library. That was one of the most fun ones I've ever done because we crashed bingo. She was doing an activity and calling bingo, so we crashed that, and that was a lot of fun. But I skipped over a 10-year because he's here. Rich Krokel, our transportation director, hit 10 years over the weekend. So we've never done one of these in person like this. So usually when it's a line employee, I get the department head, but when it's a department head, we can just surprise them.
Very good, thank you, Bill. Anybody taking a picture? It was fast.
Too fast. The mayor would have gotten the picture, man.
He would have. Mayor would have had a picture.
I forgot my flat Stanley.
And I guess really the only other thing I could remind folks, and it kind of ties in with some of our discussion, is our calls for proposals for promotion fund, general funds are out. And I think you're right. Back to the marketing a little bit. This will give us some opportunities to talk about maybe how the marketing money that goes in the promotions fund is utilized, maybe a little bit more conducively. Right now, we kind of write a check and it goes away. But I think it is good we work on this a little bit better, and I'm excited about that. I think the timing's good on this, and that's all I have.
Anybody else have anything? If not, we'd entertain a motion to go home.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Councilwoman Liebelt, second by Councilman Wright to adjourn. All in favor, aye.
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 Opposed, nay. We are adjourned.